What's going on, Elevation Nation? We're back. It is May 1st, 2025. Back with another Fortitude in 15. It is crazy that it is May. It is beautiful this week, though. In New
It's
York
gonna
City.
be May.
Elevation Nation, if you listen back to every episode where we record our first episode in May, I think Sam says that line. I'm just saying. Go back to 2021. You'll hear it. 2022, you'll hear it. 2023, you'll hear it. 2024, you'll hear it. And that is Sam's, like, you're rooted that way. How's it going,
JT.
Sam?
Dude, I'm great. I got to see you and all the boys this past weekend for a dear friend's bachelor party. We elevated. We practiced with our mini mics. We're content kings now. And life is good, Parker. I'm excited to get into our Fortitude in 15 topic because I have felt this in the past. I'm feeling it a little bit now. And I think it's super relevant for a lot of young people out there. So I'm excited that you picked this one, and I think we're going to have a fruitful and fortitude-filled discussion.
Before we get into it, there's a hefty debate right now going on in the Twitter world that I know you're not part of, but
Nope.
I think this has also transcended Twitter world into podcasts as well. So we are a podcast. We have to have a quick discussion around this before we get into the topic of the week. Who would win in a fight? One gorilla or 100 humans, and why?
Do the humans have weapons?
No weapons, just 100.
Are they in like a
humans.
blank cage, or
Open
are there like trees
field.
around them?
An open field that is fenced in. You can't just run away.
A gorilla.
A gorilla.
Yeah.
And why is that?
I think humans aren't coordinated enough to plan like a rock attack against a gorilla, and a gorilla would literally just rip everybody to shreds.
One by one.
Do you have a different take? I don't even think it'd be one by one. I think it'd be like 5 at a time.
5 at a time. Wow.
Just swing their arms around and like chase after them.
I think I'll take the argument of the other side. I would have to say that the intellectual abilities of humans outweigh the intellectual ability of one gorilla by a lot, and they would find a way to strategically plan on how to maybe sacrifice some humans and then as a result be able to get some people from behind or something. I don't know, but I could tell you it would, a lot of people would, if the end score would be very close, as in 1-4 or 1-1 or 1-5. It's not going to be like 90-1. So Elevation Nation, tell me if I'm crazy. If Sam's crazy, give us a DM. But that's a hot topic right now in what I'm seeing
Twitter,
on the internet.
It's a crazy place.
So I'm glad we had the conversation. But let's have a real mindset, elevated conversation right now. And I think this is a topic that not just young people feel, but people feel in general. In an age where we have more connection to others in the world, whether we know them or not, than ever before with our cell phones and the internet, loneliness is at like an all-time high. It feels like an all-time high. But Sam and I are going to make an argument today that loneliness is not the same as being broken. Loneliness is not necessarily even a bad thing. And why feeling isolated doesn't mean that you're failing. I'm someone that works at home by myself from my desk in my living room 90% of the time. Sam's the same way. And it can be completely honest, very lonely. And I have to remind myself that isolation from people, whether it be not seeing them in person or just not talking to people in general, can be difficult. But I had a walk in the park today, Sam, as I was picking up some time. I had to get outside in the beautiful sun. And I was like, wait, peace of mind? Being able to like have thought to myself and not have people in my ear or people trying to pull me another direction. It's just a mindset shift. I have to like appreciate that and be grateful for that. Because that's like special in today's day and age when there's more noise than ever. What are your thoughts on that, Sam?
I think we often distract ourselves with things that make us less lonely, right? Whether that's going to meet friends 24/7, being on our phones and having stimulation through social media, or even just watching TV. Very seldom do we actually take time to sit back and be lonely or introspective. But I do think loneliness can creep up on you, Parker. Even when I was in New York and surrounded by a ton of friends and a ton of people, I felt extremely lonely. And I think it was because of a lack of time, a lack of freedom, where my loneliness felt more lonely because other people were doing stuff and I didn't have the time or brain power or energy or emotional ability to welcome anyone else in. So I think there are different ways loneliness can be triggered, whether that's actually you are away from other people or people that you know, or you're lacking the time or ability to be with the people that you love. Or I would say you've gotten so deep into finding artificial ways to be less lonely that it's caught up to you.
You make a good point about being with other people, like physically in the same space, but the feeling of loneliness can still persist. And it's possibly because maybe you're feeling a certain way and other people you think are not feeling that way, and you're holding that in, whether it is some pain, whether it is disappointment, maybe a different belief, and you're holding that in, but you're in a physical space with other people, but it can feel lonely because you create maybe an idea in your head that like, wow, no one else like cares what I have to think or say or believe, and you feel lonely in that sense, right? I mean, I know we've talked about experience camps and the power of grief camp, as a lot of these kids who go to grief camp feel lonely in their isolated worlds, and when they get there they feel connected because they're able to open up and share. And I think loneliness can manifest in so many different ways, man. So I'm curious, like for you, like when you have a feeling that bottles up and you're with other people, you're not actually like physically lonely. What do you do to help yourself feel a little bit less isolated?
I think there are a few different things that I typically do. One of them being, Parker, is I try to talk to you or another good friend. Just check in, hear how you're doing, hear what's going on in your life, and then share some of the things in my life that are maybe stressing me out or making me feel a little lonely. One thing that I'm not good at, but I need to be better at, is finding sense of community. And I think when you're in some of these bigger cities and you have friend groups already established there, you don't necessarily find a core community, right? You have some friends over here, friends over there, you grab dinner with these friends, but talking true, real community, people that are there consistently for probably a third hobby or topic, right? So whether that's religion or sport, a run club, a boxing gym, whatever it may be, finding those consistent people that you can see in a more regular basis, to me, is one way to help with the loneliness. And then another thing is just journaling. Parker knows I have pages and pages and pages of notes of things that I feel in my brain and in my mind that I just need to get out and write down. And that's been really helpful for me as I'm feeling lonely. But loneliness, again, it has different causes and purposes, right? I'm in DC with plenty of friends, but I've been feeling a little bit off and lonely lately too, as friends move on to new areas of DC or move in with their significant others and new chapters of their life. It's felt a little bit lonely that maybe I'm the only one that's still in this position or this place. And one of the reasons why, we've talked, Parker, about me maybe moving back to New York or moving to a different city to shake things up is I have more friends and people here that'll hang out with me whenever, but I'm still feeling that sense of loneliness. And I don't know necessarily how I'm going to fix it per se.
I think for you is you got to keep doing things that fuel your purpose and your mission and, your values. And by continuing to do, you'll be deflecting the loneliness in a good way, because you won't feel as lonely. You'll be connected to a purpose, a mission, similar to what we're doing with Elevation Nation, right? We do these conversations. Yes, we're not lonely because we're together right now, but also we feel as if we have a community that we're speaking to and speaking with, but on top of that, it's the idea of Elevation Nation in general. It gives us purpose and gives us meaning. And I want to bring it back to the episode title for today. Loneliness does not equal broken. Why feeling isolated doesn't mean that you're failing. It doesn't mean you're failing. And I think it's really challenging in today's day and age that when we're not hearing the voices or the people saying, Parker, good job. Hey, Sam, I really love what you're doing. Could you talk to me more about that? In entrepreneurship, we know it firsthand, Sam. It's challenging because you're not going to get that most of the time. And yes, of course, when we do get the positive reinforcement, it feels good. It helps us feel less isolated. It helps us feel less lonely. But in reality, as someone who works from home, we live in different cities. We're entrepreneurs who are grinding and doing and trying to make a better world. It is lonely, but that doesn't mean that we're failing. Even though the brain will convince you sometimes, it will mean that you're failing. And so you have to have that mindset shift to say, perspective, sit back, journal a little bit, to your point. Go for a walk. Maybe call a friend that you haven't spoken to in a while. Avoid going and scrolling on TikTok and Twitter because that's instant gratification. That might not necessarily make you feel less lonely, but possibly more isolated. It's a good conversation, man. It's what young people, I think, nowadays are dealing with more than ever, but I think it's just people in general, because the world is at our fingertips like every second of the way through technology. And although that keeps us more connected than ever, it isolates us that much more.
Yeah. I think, to summarize some key ideas, right? Loneliness is providing us information. What we do with that feeling or that emotion is up to us, whether you're craving something new or whether you actually just need some time to yourself to be introspective. Take that loneliness as a trigger from your body and your mind to make a change. And it doesn't mean that you have to rush to fix it, right? Sometimes the discomfort is what you need. So use that loneliness as an opportunity to reflect if you need to change something, or if really this is just a battle within yourself. And then lastly, as you're building that deeper connection with yourself, see and test different techniques and ways you can reduce that loneliness, whether that's new hobbies, journaling, being outside, finding that community. Not all of them are going to help solve that feeling of loneliness, because loneliness is sometimes what we are feeling, but maybe it's a sense of uncertainty or a lack of confidence or maybe boredom. So use that trigger of loneliness to really get to the root cause of what you were feeling so you can try to solve it.
It's all good. You just got to be a little bit more introspective and turn it into a positive and think of it as loneliness is not necessarily a bad thing. Embrace that. Get into your creativity side. That was a big thing that I took away today on my walk. All right, real quick elevator shout out. I'm shouting out Mr. Orly Israel, elevator number 114, 112, Sam? What is it, Orly?
Orly
114.
114.
I got it. We had him back on for a conversation, Elevation Nation. He was our new elevator last week, his second time joining us on Elevation Nation. He's on a mission to help people exercise their listening muscles better, to be better listeners. And Orly has an incredible story of adversity and triumph, and he's a guy that Sam and I respect wholeheartedly and we look up to in the world of Elevation Nation, but just the world in general. And so just want to give him a shout out because he's on a mission to help people feel less lonely as it, pertains to this conversation. So shout out Mr. Orly Israel, absolute legend and great dude all around.
Shout out to elevator number 197, Lucy Nellis of Coffee and Chill. Just expanded from Coffee and Chill Miami. Now they just are expanding to New York City, and Lucy's all about building a sense of community. She is a pro community builder, and what better to combat that feeling of loneliness in some of these bigger cities than finding your crew, finding that community. So shout out to Lucy.
I didn't realize they were moving to New York too. I know they opened up one in Austin. They had one in Miami, I think in LA maybe, but New York, that's incredible. Perfect time with the weather getting good too. Who doesn't love some good coffee and some cold lunches?
It's going to be fun. All right, Elevation Nation. Until next week. Peace.